Welcome back. The funeral of Britain's Prince Philip is set to get underway in a few hours' time. That's in Windsor in England. Duke of Edinburgh died last Friday at the age of 99. Only 30 guests are expected to attend the funeral service. Let's get the latest now from our UK correspondent, Ollie Barrett. A very good afternoon to you, Ollie, and of course thank you for joining us. So, of course, we do know that it's going to be very intimate, about 30 guests that are going to be coming in. Have we seen any kind of action in terms of the procession coming in?
No, and we won't, and that's part of the difference because of COVID-19 restrictions that would be from what the funeral would have been if we weren't in the middle of a pandemic and if we still didn't have those restrictions in place. Officials have been saying to the public, don't come to Windsor. You'll be breaking the rules if you do gather outside Windsor Castle, but also, crucially, they've been saying you won't see anything because everything is taking place inside the grounds of Windsor Castle behind me, including the procession which you mentioned before the funeral. All of that inside the gates. As you say, a restricted number of guests allowed, only 30. The royal family sticking to the rules that other mourning families are having to follow in England at the moment. There will be many more people outside St George's Chapel. 700 or so members of the military will be involved in that procession before the service and afterwards, but they will be outside and they will be socially distanced. Inside too, those social distancing rules also being followed by the royal family, so the Queen will be sitting alone, she will be wearing a mask, as will the rest of the congregation as well.
What's unique about the way things are being done this time around? Ollie, obviously, yes, understandably, we're in the middle of a pandemic, but, you know, if you look at tradition in English history, what's so unique about the way they're doing things this time around?
Prince Philip himself did not want a state funeral. He didn't want a fuss to be made. That said, if we weren't in a pandemic, it would have been a service that would have attracted several hundred members of a congregation. There would have been a large choir. There would have been lots of singing. None of that is happening this time around. Many have said that actually Prince Philip wouldn't have been too upset about all of this because he didn't want a fuss, and a small, more personal service goes along with his wishes. For this ceremony, there will be a choir. It'll be small, it'll be 4 people. The congregation will not be singing. In terms of the order of service, there will be no sermon during the ceremony. That is because of Prince Philip's wishes as well. There will be lots of elements today that reflect his connections with and his active service in the military too. Expect to see lots that revolves around that. We will hear from the Dean of Windsor during the service, talking of Prince Philip's kindness, humour and humanity. He'll also praise his courage, fortitude and faith, and he will speak of his loyalty to the Queen and his service to the UK, but also to the Commonwealth as well. The service we expect to last probably just under an hour.
We do know that the royal family is very, they do stick to the letter of everything that is done, especially if somebody has put out a wish that they want things done in a certain way. But would we ever perhaps see, you know, perhaps maybe it wouldn't be in this particular case, but would we ever see the royal family sort of deviating from what has been asked of them in terms of a ceremony of this nature?
Protocol is always important, and indeed protocol for this funeral has been in place for many years, but of course it's had to be adapted because of the pandemic situation that we are in. Prince Philip, though, by the way, has been intimately involved in the preparations. Going back many years, we will see during the procession a specially adapted Land Rover hearse that he helped design. It got a new paint job not so long ago as well, but he started working on that with Land Rover nearly 20 years ago. He was obviously a man of advancing years and often described as a pragmatist. Clearly knew that this event was coming up in the not too distant future and wanted to be involved in exactly what was going to take place. As I say, he wanted a smaller affair than would have been on offer with a full state funeral. It'll be interesting as well to see the relations between the members of the royal family. A lot of attention focused on Prince Harry, who's come over from the United States. He's had to quarantine on arrival. His wife is not travelling because she is heavily pregnant. Not long ago, though, of course, since they gave that interview to Oprah Winfrey, and Harry talked about the distant relationship he's had at times recently with his brother William, but also with his father, Prince Charles. So whether the royal family likes it or not, there will be a lot of attention focused today on body language between Harry and other members of the royal family. And, of course, a huge amount of attention here in the UK focused on the Queen, who remains an incredibly popular figure according to all of the polling. And so many people will be reflecting today on the Queen and her loss after over 70 years of marriage.
And just briefly before I let you go, Ollie, of course you've spoken extensively about how the Duke of Edinburgh has been intimately involved in the planning of his own funeral. Can we expect the same to be the case for Queen Elizabeth II, should, of course, she pass someday?
Absolutely, that will be the case. And, all of this has been planned in great detail with regards to the Queen and with regards to Prince Philip, so that when these things happen, they can play out in an organised way. And yes, I think very much we expect that when the Queen does pass, that she will have been very much involved in how that funeral service plays out as well.
Ollie, thank you very much. Of course, we will definitely be keeping updated by you outside Windsor. That is our UK correspondent, Ollie Barrett.